Hi, my name is Frank Schaefer, and yesterday I was taking my friend Zip here to the vet to get a checkup and a couple of vaccination shots he was needing. And, he was so sweet and so tender during the whole time. And this is a friend of mine anyway. And it was making me think about something, and that is that we live at a time when we take so much cruelty for granted and we just kind of roll with it. The way we treat nature, the world around us, animals, each other. There's so much being written about younger people from the millennials forward. The iGen, the millennials, Gen Z, all these names we come up with for younger people. And older people like me, I'm 70, father of 3, grandfather to 5. I think younger people assume somehow that we're all part of a group that looks at the world and thinks about it in the same way, and that they are isolated from us. But I want to say something, and that is that I am so grateful that younger people are not taking the cruelty for granted. This biblical idea I grew up on in the evangelical background that somehow animals were there for our pleasure or our amusement or as food or to be manipulated or used or treated like slaves is something that younger folks are challenging. People in my age group don't dare to think that way because it would change too much. Whether it comes from what we eat, how we treat creatures, watching King Charles' coronation recently, all those hundreds of horses with metal bits in their mouths that have been trained to serve, trotting along, serving a royal family, which, by the way, never seems happier than when it's blasting little birds out of the air with shotgun, or shooting deer for fun on their estate in Scotland, or racing horses that have to be put down after their legs are broken, or their tendons are torn for our amusement. We take so much for granted as if somehow we've been handed a level of cruelty which is, quote, normal. But the younger people who are challenging these ideas, whether it's in the area of gender and gender equity or race, are so easily disparaged by my generation as somehow being weird or odd. I've made comments myself on the fact that I don't like the idea as a writer that I need to submit a manuscript to sensitivity readers or whatever it is. This is an easy idea to mock, that if you're a white male, you can't write novels in which there are women's voices or Black voices in a way that we used to be able to do without thinking about these things as if somehow we were in charge. And I push back a little on some of those ideas about the language police and others. But I need to say something, and that is that in the large framework of things, I'm glad for the younger generation challenging me. I am glad that they are looking at the cruelties we take for granted and saying, maybe we don't have to do this. Maybe Zip here is not a pet, but this wonderful little creature that's been thrown together with me for a short time as we live together for a while. And I treat him like a conscious, sentient being as best I can, and not as a slave here for my amusement. Maybe it's time to rethink our relationship to nature around us and what we kill and eat. Moby, the musician that I interviewed on my podcast in conversation with Frank Schaefer, I remember talking to him and he had his dog on his lap, or one of his dogs. And Zip, this little guy, was part of the interview at the beginning. And then we put our dogs down and we talked. But Moby is a leader in this area of talking about reinventing our relationship to nature, to the world around us, to the environment. I come from an evangelical background that believes that nature is there to serve humans as if somehow we are special or different. I come from an evangelical background that says white, heterosexual males like me are somehow in charge by divine right. I was taught that women were there to obey men, that I would be the head of my household. And it took me the better part of a 53-year marriage to learn that my wife, Jeannie, the love of my life, was not there to serve me, but there to be a friend and a companion, and that equality is a beautiful thing. And so what I want to say is thank you to the younger people who are refusing to accept cruelty as normal, to put steel bits in the mouths of horses and make them run for fun, to shoot the deer on the royal estate in Scotland, to blast little birds out of the air for the hell of it, to watch rainforests destroyed for a beef industry, to feed our fast food empires. I'm thankful for a younger, woke generation that is refusing to go along with the degradation of our environment and the utter destruction of our planet for the selfishness of a few billionaires and a whole way of life that never questions the underlying cruelty of so much of what we do, from all the roadkill we see stretched down the highways, to the idea that big game hunting is still fun and shooting an elephant or a giraffe is something we'll put up with. Thank you to the millennials. Thank you to Gen Z. Thank you to iGen. Thank you to the younger people who are saying, enough cruelty, enough cruelty. Let's find a better way. My name is Frank Schaefer.